Welcome to Live with Crabtree Coaching Collaborative, your compass for educational excellence. Now, as instructional leaders, we want to avoid that overwhelming sense of burnout and exhaustion because of all of those different competing priorities. We want to avoid our staff members becoming utterly frustrated because they cannot keep up with the demands. And let's face it, we want to avoid just having that lack of confidence because we don't feel like we're making any progress. That's why you're here, right? My name is Alyssa Crabtree, and with over 16 years of experience, I am here to help you gain clarity, amplify your learning like never before, and hone in on intentionality. This is where transformation begins, and excellence is always the standard. Remember, we are in this together, my friends, so let's do this thing. Welcome, everyone, and happy New Year. I hope you are having a fabulous week. I am super excited to introduce to you Melanie Matthews Calhoun. She is the founder of Literacy at Work, and I am just in awe of this woman. She is an author, she is a consultant, she is a coach, she is an educator. And so, Melanie, thank you so much for joining us tonight.
Alyssa, it is such a pleasure to be with everyone tonight. I am so honored to speak before your audience, and thank you again for the invite. I appreciate it.
Anytime, girl, you're welcome. Anytime. I love that. I love our conversations, and I'm extremely excited about our conversation tonight because as we enter, we're mid-year of the school year. And I know during this time, a lot of our instructional coaches struggle with, okay, is it too late to implement this? Can I go ahead and do this? So I want us to talk about that and solve all the problems of the world. But before we do, Melanie, go ahead and tell our listeners a little bit about yourself.
Yes, so I am Melanie Matthews Calhoun, again, the CEO and founder of Literacy at Work. And I have been in education 27 years. I've been doing coaching and consulting, a little of both, for about 17, 18 years. And I would have to say that instructional coaching and consulting, those are my jams. And so been in this for a while, and I love what I do. So I started Literacy at Work in 2008 strictly as a hobby, but then I got serious about it, and this thing kind of took off and it caught fire. And so I'm in it to win it now, long term. And I absolutely love what I do. And what I do is I cultivate the minds that cultivate the minds. And I also have a platform, or I help you to master the art and craft of coaching.
I love that. Cultivate the minds that cultivate the minds.
Yes.
And I think that's so important. Melanie, the other day I did a post, and I don't know if you read it, but it said something along the lines of principals, teachers need to be your why, not students.
Yes.
And you know that, and it's true, like as instructional leaders in whatever capacity, you are cultivating the minds that cultivate the minds. I love it. And I love how you said coaching and consulting were your jam. Like, I love it. So tell me, the reason, we're here tonight is to talk about instructional coaching. Why instructional coaching? Why is it so powerful? Why do we need coaches in our lives?
So coaching is powerful in and of itself, no matter what form it takes on. Life coaching, sports coaching, whatever, it is a very powerful concept. And for that to be in education as instructional coaching, when I first learned about it, I was just awesomely excited because for the first time, there were other people I could work with who were experts, so to speak, in certain areas, and to help me, to guide me, to partner with me, to help facilitate and guide my learning as we took this escapade through learning together with our students. And so with instructional coaching, the benefit of it is that you have embedded PD at school. You have that job embedded professional development so that you don't have to wait to go somewhere to get the learning, because 9 times out of 10, your coaches in your buildings have a certain amount of expertise that they can start you off with in terms of providing professional development. And the best thing about that with that professional development is that you can have it customized to your needs. So, we have our initiatives that we have to implement and things like that. But what if I just really need help with increasing my student engagement in my classroom? My instructional coach can partner with me and provide a miniature PD around student engagement. Yeah. Then my coach can follow up with me to see how that implementation is going. Then my coach can say, okay, well, if you need me to come in and co-teach, I can do that so that we can do what? Monitor student engagement. Or if you need me to sit down with you and plan how to incorporate some engagement strategies into your lesson plans, your coach is there to do that. So your coach is like your personal instructional trainer, making sure that all of the things that you want to do for you to achieve your personal and professional goals at work, when it comes to the success of academic success of students or your personal success, that's what a coach is for. So I think coaches also need coaches. So everyone needs a coach. A coach is there to support. In all of my correspondence since I send out, the last line is always, I am here for you. Mm-hmm. And coaches are here for you. So I think everybody, all educators, no matter what level, deserves, not needs, but you deserve an instructional coach.
That's, I love that you say that. And they deserve it. Mm-hmm. And I think of New Year's resolutions right now, since it's January.
Yes.
And how many people went to the gym, and how many people are now paying for a personal trainer, because you can either go it alone at the gym. That doesn't mean that you're not going to get results. You're still going to get results, but you're going to get there faster with the trainer.
So, and not only that, but you may say, okay, well, I don't want to pay for a personal trainer. I could just look at some videos, or I can do it on my own. But then when you are paired with a personal trainer and you're doing those bicep curls incorrectly, yes, you are doing bicep curls, but is it the most efficient way for you to do those bicep curls? And so that's exactly what a coach does. A coach isn't saying, no, you can't, you don't know how to teach. A coach is really saying, how can I help you? Let's work on your strengths, because I do believe in asset-based coaching. Yes. And we can go from there to strengthen what you're already doing. And in a lot of cases, when you have developed that good coaching relationship, then not only are you strengthening what you already know, but now, can you teach me about this? Because I heard about it, but I don't know what it is. Can you show me how to do it? It opens the gates.
Yes. And you said the word refinement.
Absolutely.
It's just taking what you're already doing and refining it. Like, I will always remember my first experience with a personal trainer, and we were doing, gosh, I couldn't even tell you, how sad is that? But I was doing a back row, and I was just doing it like this. And he stuck his finger on my spine and was like, I want you to squeeze my finger.
Oh, see.
And so I had to pull back like this.
Another
and it was
level.
Something that I was already doing well, but he refined it for me.
So he made you level up, because you were already doing it. But when you had to squeeze his finger, he leveled you up. Exactly. And that's what coaching is. It's about leveling up. It's not egotistical on our behalf. Not at all. Because this is what I find with coaches. In most cases, we are the people who want to help the people, like, sincerely. What happens sometimes, unfortunately, depending on what campus you're on, the administrator might redefine your role for you. And so that's the unfortunate part of it. And then you become more of a quasi-administrator, is what I call them. But the true role of coaching is, like you said, you were already doing those roles. Now you have to,
Squid. And he would.
I know your back was on fire.
It was, but it worked. Well, and you kind of brought it up. There are some of these redefined coaching roles, or sometimes there's even just preconceived definitions of the role. And oftentimes coaches might experience a little bit of reluctance from teachers, because it is like, whoa, 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 are you coming in and telling me I'm bad at my job? Like, there's that initial thinking. And I want to ask you your expertise on this. In the middle of the year, it is January, we're moving forward. What are some strategies that coaches can do right now to still foster those relationships, to really bring out the trust between the coach and the teacher?
Yeah, and that's an excellent question, because like you said, now is the time. We're done with winter break or Christmas break. We've been through Thanksgiving. Some districts are winding up to do mid-year assessments, the benchmark assessments. And so with all of that, and with things that were left over from the previous year brought into the new year, it's like, okay, what do I do now? Where do I go? I know there were some teachers who probably would rather not work with me. How do I get those teachers engaged? How do I get them on board? And so all of these questions really, Alyssa, are going through my head right now, because that coaches me. That coaches me. And so what I did actually today is that I sat and thought. Monday we came back, everybody resumed. Tuesday we had a staff meeting where we picked up some work. I'm a secondary instructional coach, and I'm in a middle school, and we're working on disciplinary literacy implementation. And so, whenever we hear a new term, people get nervous, they become a little standoffish, or if they kind of know what it is, and they, the thing is, we've seen this before, it's been here before. And so you have that level of reluctancy that you're working with. Why are we doing this? I think I already do it. And you probably do, which is the truth, because we see things come, go, and come again in education. We see it rebranded, repackaged all the time. Good teaching is good teaching. And so I had to sit in reflection. We had the staff meeting on Tuesday. I captured all of the strengths that the teachers were already doing in terms of implementing disciplinary literacy. We talked about what worked well for them, what didn't work well. And the number one thing was time. When do we have time to do it? It's always that thing. But it led me to think, okay, Melanie, now it's time for you to push the reset button. It's that time of year. Yeah. So I had to think, okay, what can I really do? So here's what I came up with for me. So at the beginning of the school year, because I was new to the district, we're new to each other. So I'm really still in a relationship building phase. So what I thought about was, okay, at the beginning of the year, I sent out a beginning of the year survey so that I can gather all of this information, not only information about their professional learning, but I wanted to know a little something about themselves. When is their birthday, favorite color? You never know what I might want to do. So I had to think. That was the last time the teachers actually saw a list of those things or those services or activities that I could work with them on. So I said, okay, all right, let me go start there, because in the staff meeting on Tuesday, I said, if you need support, I am here to help. I'm here to help you with all things instruction. But that wasn't enough. So I said, okay, let me sit down and think about this clearly. You know what I don't have, and this might shock you. I did not have a coaching menu.
Okay.
So what I am in the process of doing now, and please write this down, is I'm reviewing my beginning of the year survey, looking at all of those things that I listed that I can support them with, such as gathering resources, such as providing a miniature personalized PD, such as helping them with classroom management. So all of these things, and it's about 10 things on the list, I am going to convert those into a coaching menu. So now they're going to have that information that was linear in that document, in the survey. Now it's going to be a visual there are different ways you could do a coaching menu.
Yeah.
Some of them are listed, some of them are in squares. And I think I'm going to do the square one.
Uh-huh.
And that's where I'm going to start. So on tomorrow, I'm going to work on that. On Monday, I'm going to email it out to everyone, part one. Part two, because I told you we're working on disciplinary literacy, what I've done is I have created a folder with all materials pertaining disciplinary literacy, a compendium of resources, not only for the 4 core, but beyond the core. So computer sciences has a folder. Arts and music has a folder. Everybody who is engaged with a child in some way, shape, or form, they all have a folder explaining how to implement disciplinary literacy in their core subject area. So along with that email that I'm going to send, I am also going to print one of those resources. It's a 1-pager, and I am going to deliver it to all of the classrooms. I asked someone in the office, hey, where's the color paper? Because I don't want it to be on white paper, because white paper is everywhere. So I'm going to make it colorful, and here you go. This is for you. Let's just review this. So that's how I'm going to reintroduce myself to the school and what I do, number one. Number two, to spur conversation with those teachers who are a little bit resistant, because sometimes here's the thing. Teachers will say, yeah, come in anytime, but they really don't mean come in anytime.
They don't.
They really don't mean that. And so this is what I consider to a soft reentry that's non-intrusive, non-evasive. Again, this is the middle of the year. They're still getting to know me as I'm still getting to know them. And this is a happy place. Now, if you've already been coaching in a school, and if this is at least your second year back in the school, okay, you pretty much know people in the building. If you might have new teachers, so you're going to probably work with them a little bit more to get them acclimated. New teachers to the field and new teachers to that building, 2 kinds of new teachers. So with them, the reset button might be, in order to level down some of that resistance, is to actually go into the rooms. And I know it might sound hard, but go into those rooms and just be an active participant in that room. Yeah. What I mean by active participant is just go in, circulate, focus on the students. Like, don't even make eye contact with the teacher. This is all about little Jimmy and little Jessica. Circulate around the room, helping the students. You know, you might want to pull a student or two. And I know in a lot of cases, small groups aren't for instructional coaches, but in order to get on that resistant teacher side, then that's a tactic that you can use in order for you to come into that classroom. So sometimes we have to pull from places that may be a little unorthodox, but when we're trying to build these relationships, meaningful and trusting relationships, we have to do some things a little differently. So don't be afraid to try something that might not seem like it's quite within that coaching role, because you never know what result that might yield.
Yeah. Oh my gosh, Melanie, I love it, because there's one key commonality that I noticed between like you coaching yourself through what to do, and then like, hey, if you already are established, it was being visible.
Yes.
And it was finding a reason to get in the room, finding a reason to have a one-on-one conversation.
Yes.
Because I cannot tell you how many times I will talk with teachers, principals who feel like a teacher is resistant towards them, so they avoid them. And I'm like, get uncomfortable.
That's
and
right.
You find a reason to get in the room. Be helpful, but be present. Don't hide.
Present. Yeah. Because guess what? They can see through that. They know when you're avoiding them as well.
Oh, yeah.
You know, so you hiding is going to make it worse for you. So you have to be visible. One thing I liked about the staff meeting we had on Tuesday is that, of course, usually the principal or the assistant principal leads the meetings, but it was a full hour. The AP did the first half, the principal did the second half, and I was facilitating with both of them. So in essence, we ran the whole meeting, again, increasing my visibility and also credentialing me in a way, with the school, with the teachers, because again, I'm new to that environment. So when they see me standing with the principals and the principals are supporting what I'm saying, that goes a long way. That goes a long way.
100%. I think you and I've talked about this before too, Melanie, the power of the relationship between the principal and the coach. And it has to be present. And coaches, your principals aren't going to come to you. They have so much on their plate, just like you do. But you need to go and tell them, hey, I want to meet weekly. I want to present with you. That way they can support your message.
And then the principals aren't avoiding you because, like you said, they have so much on their plate. Sometimes they hadn't even recognized that. Like, oh, yeah, maybe we should be meeting. How often do you want to do it? So, they have so much to do. And I take my hat off to principals every time because they have a very special role that I don't think those are shoes I can fill. But you have to, approach the principal. And in a lot of cases, the principal really appreciates that because, again, they're juggling this. Oh, what about this MTSS meeting? Oh, I have some after school stuff to do. Oh, we have a principal's meeting tomorrow. And so it's so much stuff in addition, because they're instructional leaders. Yeah. So they have to manage, supervise the school, the human capital, as well as managing and supervising all this digital stuff. And scheduling and meetings and field trips that are going everywhere and making sure the students are getting to places with coordinators, they're all of that. So don't be afraid to approach your principal and be like, if you're not meeting on a consistent basis, and be like, hey, can I get on your calendar, next week? Don't put so much pressure, push it out a little bit.
It goes back to be visible, coaches. Yep. Be visible so that your principals notice you too.
And then what's a great feeling? This is a great feeling when I'm in and out of classrooms and I'm bumping into the principal in the hall.
Oh
because
my God!
Now the principal can see that I'm visible in the school. Yeah. And then that goes to show what the principal is doing, because if I'm bumping into you in the hall, I know that you're not in the office. Not that when you're in the office, you're not doing anything, but he's making himself visible. The AP is making himself visible. So, it makes me feel good. Like, oh, I'm in the hall. He just saw me come out of this room. I have my notebook. Yes, I'm doing my job. So.
And they're doing theirs.
Because that's right.
But you know what? I just like the most visible person wins. Like I'm just like, well, no matter your role, be visible. That fosters relationships, and that speaks volumes.
Being visible and being an active participant in the school community, so the visibility. Because visibility will also help to reduce some resistance, because teachers' resistance won't wane if they never see you. So if they see you going in and out of their peers' classrooms, then that can lower their resistance as well. So you have to keep that in mind. But the visibility in the school and being a part of the school community, even if that means staying after school whenever there's a special, not every time, we know you can't do that, but if there's a special thing going on at school, stay after one time, because that's when teachers be like, okay, yep, we see you here after school with us. Okay. So you're earning little brownie points here and there that are going to add up for you to be able to move into the rooms of those teachers that might be a little bit reluctant to you being there.
100%. Just like you said, it goes back. I don't know who I was talking to. It was last night. And I was saying, Brene Brown's quote, and I'm going to butcher it, but about being in the ring. Yes. And you be in the ring with teachers.
Yes.
And then the resistance is going to.
It's going to lower. And what I like, so I'm in Michigan, and Michigan is a union state, So my position is actually in the teachers union. And so that's one little ding, well, not ding, but that was a good thing I had, is because I was also in the teachers union, because I was an instructional coach at one time and I wasn't in the teachers union. So it made my role seem more administrative, no matter how I tried to explain it, because I was not in the teachers union, it did not add credibility to my role. So because I am in the teachers union, and I've done this since day one, when I heard that the word went around, I received an email. Every Tuesday, we're going to wear red. Guess who has on red every Tuesday? Because I'm a union. I'm in the union with the teachers. I'm your peer. That's the message that I'm giving, that I'm your peer. I'm not here to work against you. I'm here to work with you.
100%.
So those little things help as well to lower that resistance.
Yes, I love that, Melanie. Now, one of the other things that helps lower resistance is humanizing us. And so you are an amazing coach. You're an author who writes about coaching. You are a consultant, like you're in the arena, but I know you got to fail in there somewhere. So can you tell our audience, like, what was a coaching fail that you've either experienced or you yourself were coaching someone and fell flat on your face?
You know, I have a story for all of those. So I'll start here. So this is when I had my consultant hat on. I was doing some consulting work in a school district in California. I was in an elementary school. So this particular elementary school had a lot of outside services. They were receiving, I forget at this time, some funding, some federal funding they had, and they had all these monies to spend. So there were, I want to say, at least 6 or 7 different outside consultants. I know, right? I know. It was, look, put a pin there. It was to the point where I asked the principal, like, can we all coordinate a time so that we can at least get on the same page? Because I'm suggesting they do this strategy and they're saying, well, the other person told me to do this strategy. And so we have to converge and meet so that we can kind of calibrate, so we can at least have a similar message. So I was in this school and I had observed a kindergarten teacher. So the classroom, to be honest, the classroom was not the neatest classroom. The classroom had so many outdated materials in that room. It was not the neatest. And this particular teacher really, you know, when you think of a kindergarten teacher, you think of someone who's mobile, someone who's constantly moving. You know, you're on the rug and you're in there and then you're over in this corner. I mean, just a mobile person. And she sat like the whole time I was there. And so, you know, I didn't want to be critical, but I felt that this was something important for me to raise. So when we had our meeting, our debriefing, and it's so funny because it never got to that, but I'm going to tell you. So when we had our meeting, you know, hey, how you doing? I am back, because my initial interaction with them was when I came to do a PD. It was like a 3-day PD. Then I went back for technical assistance for on-site visits. And so I enjoyed being in your class. You know, the kids are wonderful. You know, you have to kind of warm it up a little bit, establish a little bit of rapport. And so she was talking and she said, she told me how many years she had been teaching. And I was like, whew, you're right at the point of retirement, huh? How do you feel about that? Wrong thing to say. So when I said that, she was absolutely livid. And I just listened, you know, being patient, I just listened. And so we excused ourselves from that meeting. And I immediately went to the principal because I'm somebody from out of state. I'm not even in the state. So I want to make sure that not only am I going to write this in the report, I'm also going to let the principal know face to face. And so when I talked to the principal had told me at that time, she said, yeah, so I have been recommending that she retire. I was like, what? And so I said the R word, having no context of any of this that happened prior to me coming. And that just really flew that teacher off the handle.
Yeah.
I could understand. So what that taught me was it taught me to be very careful, but I thought I was being careful. You know, I'm thinking I'm opening up. a conversation on a mild note, inserting a little humor, because humor is one of those 20 brain-based strategies. So I incorporate brain-based strategies in almost everything I do. So I'm like, okay, let's use a little humor to kind of lighten the load. Oh, well, I know you'll be glad when you retire. And that was not the thing to say. But I have to say that upon my second meeting with her, not the meeting, but I was actually in her classroom again. And she couldn't get her printer to working. And so, I was like, I don't know what's wrong with it, but, since I'm sitting over here, let me just, mess with it, see what happened. Turned it off and on because the printer was offline. I turned it off, turned it back on, unplugged it, blew, the magical, that's going to solve all the problems, right? I blew it, plugged it back in, and here comes all of her copies. And believe it or not, we were okay since then because I repaired her printer. But yeah, that was one of those times when feedback, before actually we even got to the feedback, it just went left. And it made me feel bad because of course that's not my intention. I don't think that's anybody's intention to go in and just be an advocate for somebody else, like the principal. I was not being that I didn't know. And so that feedback just went.
And that just brings up though, like, the power of getting to know the people that you're providing feedback to. And we're all going to say things sometimes that insert foot and mouth because you had no clue of the context. But you did not avoid her from then on.
Yes.
You still were present and had the opportunity to make up for it, which is huge.
Yeah. Yeah. So when you fall, the only thing to do is to get back up. After every fail is a rebound. So the important thing is just to learn from these things because you don't know everything. You can't prepare for every situation. Some of those situations you're going to have to go through and grow through yourself and just be prepared for that and know that it's okay. It's okay. We fail forward. It's all right.
Exactly. And when we do make mistakes, because we will always make mistakes. And Melanie, you had even said, like, this was the time of you were in full consultant mode. So expert in the field and still making these mistakes. We all do it. And so it's okay. Give yourself grace, but also don't shy away. Still take the time to get to know that person.
Yeah, which is the most important thing. And, of course, afterwards, I hadn't had any of those relationship building strategies in my pocket at that time, other than what I had done in the PD, so I had not gone back to kind of, go back. Let me have this conversation before I even observe. And looking back on it, I should have had conversations with all of the teachers before I actually observed in their classrooms. So, yeah. But it worked out. I'm okay.
So we're all learning. I don't even know how to say this. In the meaning of feedback, I don't know if that makes sense. We're going to go with it. What makes feedback meaningful? Like, what actually makes it impactful and teachers want to run with it?
Feedback has to directly relate to whatever it is you saw. If you're basing feedback on an observation, it has to go directly back to what you observed non-judgmentally. So we have to be able to, this is not good feedback. You know what? That was a really good lesson you planned. All the kids were engaged. They had a great time. Don't do that, please. Please and thank you. That is not feedback. Feedback is very specific, is non-judgmental, and I usually like to provide feedback with numbers to support. So with that, if I'm giving what makes feedback meaningful for people is when you can get straight to the facts, and talk about the teaching behaviors. You're not going to give feedback on the person personally, if I'm making sense, but what you saw them do.
Yeah.
For example, I noticed that when I was in your room at 10:15 this morning, that out of the 5 students you had in small group, one of those students was not on task. And I'm wondering if there was a reason why this one student wasn't on task. So I'm telling you what time of day it was, during what part of the instruction, how many students were doing what they were doing. So that's very specific, and that'll be more meaningful for the teacher because you've given that teacher a specific point in time with a specific piece of evidence stating, this is what I saw, and an opportunity for the teacher to explain before you even give suggestions on that feedback. So you want to make sure all of those things, because you want to ensure that the teacher has, in my opinion, voice in that feedback before you give it, if it makes sense. You want to make sure that you're not providing feedback that is inferencing, or, it's, the specific feedback, and you want to make sure that they understand. So that's one of the things that I do when I want teachers to really own the feedback and to make it meaningful for them. It has to be detailed. It cannot be generalized. You can't say, a few students left the room to go to the speech pathologies. A few? How many is a few?
Yeah.
What time did they leave? How much time of instruction did they miss in classroom? So all of those things are important, and teachers appreciate that. First, let me tell you that teachers do appreciate feedback. So when you go to observe and you do not provide any feedback at all, teachers don't like it.
They're going to call you. They're going to email you, hunt you down.
Yep. Even if you have to follow up. A lot of teachers or coaches have sticky notes, so when they're finished observing, job well done, I'll send you an email or something and stick it there. So they have at least a little bit of immediate feedback. But in order for feedback to be meaningful, the teachers have to know exactly what it is you want them to do, or what it is that you're suggesting that they do based on what. It can't be something that's just out on a whim.
No, and those facts are so important, especially when it comes to efficacy, because if I put in there, 1 out of 5 were not active, and then I come in the next day and now 5 out of 5 were active, like that small little win, they're seeing those numbers go up or go down.
Yes.
They're having those wins, and that strengthens their confidence, and it's non-judgmental. And I love how you said that teachers have to be a part of the reflection, a part of the solution. I like it. Like they need to be the hero in their own journey.
Because they need to know that they have the power within them. The power lies within my child.
That's what it is.
They have the power. And sometimes they just need someone to draw it out of them.
Yeah.
And you're that person, you're that conduit. You're going to have them see in themselves what they can't see for themselves. And so when you are that true coach, even in the consultant role, when you are that, you are actually giving them opportunities to see things that they haven't seen for themselves. Sometimes teachers, for whatever reasons, they lose confidence in their teaching. They don't believe in themselves. They don't have high expectations for their students. And it could be a multitude of reasons why. Maybe they don't have confidence in themselves because they have a new curriculum or resource that they have to learn and teach, and they don't think they have the capabilities of doing it. Maybe they've experienced some classrooms in the past who were not scoring well on tests, and they weren't able to really push them up, close that gap. And maybe they're just afraid of that. So you never know. But that's another reason why these non-coaching conversations are needed. Sometimes, like I said, you just might want to kick it with a teacher. It's not even about, academics, but just getting to know them. That's how you build relationships. And that's another way to kind of reduce the resistance,
Yep.
getting to know the teachers. And so you never know where this thing comes from. Like you said, low teacher efficacy. That's a thing. That's
huge
a thing. And so we have to be able to recognize that and help them navigate that territory.
100%.
Mhm.
And every human, we just want to be seen and heard. And so coaches get in those classrooms and talk to the teachers like they're humans. Just
Yes.
listen
Yeah.
and let them be the hero of their own journey.
And applaud their small wins so that they can see that they're the hero in their own journey.
Yep.
You know, it doesn't matter how small it is. Like you can recommend that, well, maybe if you had 3 tables of 6 instead of 10 tables of 2, then maybe, the collaborative work can happen better in the classroom. And you might walk by and see that the classroom is different. Now it's in the bigger groups of 6. Say that. Recognize that.
Yes.
Because that's a step toward a goal. That's a step forward. So recognize that.
100%.
Again, teachers want to be heard. They want to make sure they're listened to. And just so easy to do.
Yeah. I don't know. I'm sorry. Something just crashed. I don't know what it was. And I was like, someone else is getting really excited about coaching. Melanie, I'm so glad you joined me tonight. So I have a couple of questions to close this out.
Okay.
So the first question is, I know you have some goodies for the audience or some things you want to share. And one of them, I can't wait to hear about your book. So go ahead and tell our audience, what are some of those things?
So just about everything we talked about this evening, I have a form for it. and I have a form for it, not because it was rehearsed. It's because, again, I've been in this thing for such a long time. Through my journey, I have created forms that would help support my work in supporting teachers. And so that book that's in back of me over there is called The Formula, 101 Must-Have Forms for Instructional Coaching. Is just that. The way that it is sectioned is the first part is about getting your head in the game. So that's all about your calendar, your scheduling, how you're going to plan. Is there coaching boards in there? All of that. And then it goes into like a coaching cycle. Hey, it goes into a coaching cycle. This is what you do before the coaching cycle. While you're in that cycle, you're going to do this. When you get out of that cycle, here's some reflection forms. And the survey that I talked about at the beginning of the year survey, that's the exact same one I used that's in the book. So that teacher survey, the beginning of the year and an end of the year survey are in that book, and a survey for you as a coach to give to teachers so that you can solicit feedback for yourself. You have to have feedback in order for you to grow. It might be hard, but you can do it. So all of those are in that book. So I did thank you, Alyssa, for giving me the opportunity to share the book. And one more thing, and I'm not going to go on and on about this, but I do have a conference that's coming up in July 6th. It's called the Mind Your Coaching Institute, and it is the 5th and fabulous year, and everyone can come because it's virtual. So that is going to be a phenomenal event. I love doing that. It tires me out, but it's worth every effort. It's worth all the work. So absolutely, that's what we have coming down the pipe. July 6th, 2024, which is on a Wednesday, and it's all day. It's from 11 a.m. to 4 p.m. Eastern time. So I want you to check that out.
Awesome. And they can find that on your website?
They can find it on the website. It's coming soon. It'll be there probably by next week. So it'll be on the website. Yes.
Awesome. Oh, I'm excited. I'm going to be there. I'm going to attend.
Yes, you're going to be there in more ways than one.
Yeah. Oh, I like that. Oh, Melanie. And so one last thing before we sign off, what recommendations do you have for our audience? Any kind of books or podcasts that you suggest?
Yes. So if you are not a part of an organization, or even if you are, this is one that you certainly want to be a part of because it's all about what we do. Learning forward. If you are not a member of Learning Forward, please become a member of Learning Forward. I get nothing for advertising Learning Forward except for joy for sharing this with you, because it's everything that we need as coaches, as professional learners, and as professional developers. So Learning Forward, great membership. You won't regret it. Another website that I absolutely love, and this website, although it has some coaching resources on it, it's a website for teachers, and you can use this to help teachers with what they have to do. And that is the Cult of Pedagogy.
Oh, yes.
Oh, love that website. Love that website. So when you have a chance, go check it out. It is a wonderful resource. I indulge in the podcast on that website. So lots of great resources, especially for if you have your own personal coaching conundrum that you might not be able to solve, then this is a place that you might be able to find your answer. And just one more, and I have so many books, I don't even know which one to recommend, because on Instagram, I did a read of the week 2 different years. So in all, what's 52 times 2? That's how many books. 104 different books I have recommended for coaches. And so as you can see, I have a whole library of coaches.
I love your library.
Yes, if I had to choose one, I would probably go with this one. And I have a bunch of them. But Onward by Elena Aguilar, it gives you a month-to-month map of how to navigate the school year and develop your resiliency. Being a resilient coach is necessary. You have to develop a tough layer of skin to survive over here. And the Onward book by Elena, that will help you do it month by month.
She has tons of great resources too on how to have difficult conversations, which I love. I've used them. I've had to use them quite a bit. Awesome. Well, Melanie, where can our audience find you? I know we have your website, Literacy at Work. Where can they find you on social?
My biggest hangout is Instagram. So you can find me on Instagram, Literacy at Work. I'm right there. I'm there all the time, stalking my own page and a whole bunch of other coaches. So you can find me on Instagram, and I'm over on Facebook as well. I do have a fan page book, and that's just, did I say Instagram, Facebook? I'm over on Facebook, Literacy at Work LLC. So it's easy to find. So I will meet you in either of those two places. The Facebook page is more for announcements, but the Instagram page is more for conversation. So if you want to join in the conversation with me, hit me over on Instagram.
And everyone, go purchase the formula. It's a one-stop shop for all of your resources. The formula. Thank you, everyone. Y'all have a wonderful evening, and we'll see you next time.
Thank you, everyone. See you next time.